It's a very broad topic, and I find that especially when people are new to content marketing, or maybe you see some really charismatic influencer online, it's easy to think it has to be this narrow subject, or we have to, I don't know, do a dance on TikTok. But
there, I'm Charly, your online business manager and WordPress expert. My goal is to assist small to medium business owners build their businesses with a focus on using the internet and online technologies in an appropriate and cost-effective manner. People hire me to take the stress out of managing their businesses and allow themselves to focus on what they do best. Callum Armstrong is joining me today, and he's a content marketing coach and social entrepreneur with a background with building companies, creating marketing content that converts, developing remote marketing teams, and empowering environmental conservation. Through his coaching business, Paste and Publish, and I love that name, Callum helps businesses generate stellar lead generation processes. I think we're going to have a great chat today about content marketing and how businesses can and should use it in their lead generation strategies. Hey, Callum, thanks so much for joining me.
awesome. Thank you for having me, Charly. It's great to be here.
You are most welcome. Now, just so people know, Callum is just across the ditch from us in New Zealand. I'm in Australia this week. Got to say that I'm in Australia this week, but Callum is just across the ditch in New Zealand, and I'm going to ask him just to give us a little bit about himself, the helicopter view of who you are and how you came to be here, Callum.
Hi, cool, thank you. So I'm based in New Zealand, Aotearoa, in a lovely town called Rotorua. You might be familiar with it because of the geothermal activity and the funny smells all over town, but yeah, great place to live, awesome community. I guess to explain a bit about me, I'll explain where I am today and then how I got to there, because that's really an important part of it. So today I am the founder and managing director of Paste and Publish Limited. We used to be a content marketing agency, and before that I was a freelancer, consultant, contractor, content creator, and we've evolved that into a coaching business. So we take B2B services, businesses that are solving problems for other businesses, and we help them to turn their websites into 24/7 customer getting machines. What I find is that a lot of the B2B services, especially the ones that are that below $1 million mark, typically rely on a lot of referrals and networking and doing a good job to get customers, which is awesome. But if your website is just an online business card with a few pages, you're missing out on so much potential online. 1 to 3%, I think they usually say, of people are ready to buy. The other 97+% of people aren't ready to take on your services. And that's where content marketing comes in, educating people and solving their problems in advance. So in a nutshell, that's the core business. I also have been building a charity called the Reforestation Fund with my partner, Anna Bench, for the last few years, which is, it's focused on community conservation. So as we all know, there's a bunch of environmental challenges that the world's facing, and here in New Zealand, it's no different. And I'm not sure about in Australia and other countries, but here communities are such a huge part of the solution. There's always this struggle for funding, and it's the locals that care about their own backyard that put their hands up and say, hey, we're going to do something about it. And so, you know, you have a lot of these volunteer groups, and even the locals hardly know that they exist because they're so busy fulfilling on their promises, delivering, you know, rolling out trap lines or planting trees or looking after the environment, that, or coordinating volunteers, even struggling to find time to apply for grants, that they, and most of it's volunteer based, so they don't have time to actually go out and tell their stories and get publicity, which means that they're not really known. They don't have enough volunteers and they don't have enough funding. So we come in and we use our content marketing skills to tell their stories. And also alongside that, I also have a newsletter called Improve Your Business 3 minutes at a time, which helps people to improve their business 3 minutes at a time with one focused area each fortnight that we talk about. For example, cash flow or prioritizing, or how to deal with a disgruntled employee, or different areas. And that's done with my long-term mentor and coach, Bernie Hanvey, who's a retired businessman, and we kind of do it to just help people out. We don't have a website for that one just yet, but that's coming up soon. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's
that
me.
One, we'll come back to that one because I'm really interested in that one. And look, it sounds like you got a heap there, and I just love watching how animated you become when you talk about your extracurricular activities. I think it's fantastic that business owners have a focus, and people who are working as hard as we work have a focus outside of their business. Okay, so you spoke, and we'll come back to some of that stuff that you actually covered, but you spoke about the importance of content and how an online business card website, you're losing so many people. Or you're losing opportunities because only 1 to 3% of people are ready to buy, and I agree entirely. Can you just dig down a little bit more on that and what that means to business and why you say that?
Yeah, so I think if we look at marketing today, sorry, the sore throat. If we look at marketing today, there's a lot of gurus out there, and there's a lot of people saying, try this tactic, or use AI to publish some blogs, or slide into someone's DMs, whatever it is. But at the core of it, beyond any kind of jargon or tactics, no matter what you buy, there is information transferred between the buyer and the seller. And the person who's buying whatever you're selling, whatever any of us buy anytime in our lives, we go through a series of stages from being, first we're unaware that we've got a problem, then we become aware that we've got a problem, then we become aware of our solution, then we're ready to buy, then we go through that buying process. And at each of those stages, we have things that are maybe frustrating us, we have things that are maybe what we particularly want, there's problems we have, there's information that we need to gain and consume to move to that next stage of our buying journey. Let's take a really simple example. The other day I was quite hungry and I didn't feel like cooking. And so first I was unaware that I had a problem. I was busy working. I ignored my hunger. My partner got home and she said, oh, can we get some dinner? And I said, I don't want to cook. She said, I don't want to cook either, right? So now we're aware that we've got a problem. We've gone from, we're living our day to, I need some food and I don't want to cook, to, well, let's look at a solution. We could get Uber Eats, probably not where we are because it's a bit too far out of the town. We could go to the Indian restaurant and get curry. If we do that, what should we get? Do we get butter chicken or tikka masala? Do we go to Mexican? 1,000,001 decisions. And then after that, we decided, okay, we're going to get butter chicken. Do we go to the butter chicken? So we're going to get butter chicken. Well, do we get that from the store 500 meters down the road, or do we get it from the store that's 10 minutes driveway that's a bit nicer, or etc.? And so content marketing in a nutshell is answering these questions. That's at a very core level. There's obviously a lot of different types of content marketing. But yeah, at its core, it's solving people's problems in advance. What I find with many business owners, especially those that don't spend a lot of time in the online space, is that we have the same conversations over and over again. We're repeating the same discussions. So a lot of what we do is just getting people to turn that into blogs or videos or posts or other forms of content so that they can refer back to it and they can send people to it. I guess that's in a nutshell. It's a very broad topic, and I find that especially when people are new to content marketing, or maybe you see some really charismatic influencer online, it's easy to think it has to be this narrow subject, or we have to, I don't know, do a dance on TikTok. But at the end of the day, you've got someone you want to reach, you want to offer them your service or product for their money, and to do that, you've got to educate them so that they trust you and they're ready to buy from you when they're ready to buy instead of someone else.
I love it. And I actually use the term know, like, and trust. So when you go through a purchasing process as a purchaser, you want to know who you're buying from, you want to like them, and you need to trust them, and you need to trust that they're going to deliver on the promise that they're making you. And when you're talking about content management, like you just did, what you're talking about is developing that process of you get to know me, get to like me, get to trust me, and then make the purchase to buy. And so you also said there's something about it being a very broad category, and some people think it's about doing a dance on TikTok. Now it might be. And the point that I'm going to make there is that whatever you do, you've got to be marketing into where your target audience is. So you've got to know who your target audience is, and you've got to know where they are. And then you can determine whether it's the dance on TikTok, whether it's the pretty pictures on Facebook, or whether it's the billboard out on the road going, hey, come eat here, whatever works for you. So I'm just trying to get the flow through this one, because He said people need to know they've got a problem because that's what they buy on. And as business owners, what we need to understand is we're not there selling a solution. We're not there selling content. We're not there selling information. We're there selling solutions to problems. So when we're setting up all of this stuff, and I think you might agree on this one, I hope, you've got to know what the problems are you're solving so that you know how to market your content to people. Would you agree with that?
100%. And I think to add to that, I was just thinking it as you were saying it, I find, especially even with marketers, it's easy. We want to jump into the solution. We want to jump into the tactics. Like, you're doing online business management. I could ask you about it and you could tell me about the technicalities of using WordPress, right? But as a business owner, I don't care. I just want my website to work.
Why would I do that?
And the solution, I'm not saying you would, right? But sometimes, just as a side note here, if you are thinking we need to market to our audience, but we don't know what we should do, talk to them, go interview them. If you want, I've got a customer interview toolkit, which is like an 8-page resource with all the questions you need, the step-by-step instructions, tips and training on how to actually conduct a customer interview effectively. I've got a Google Doc. There's no email opt-in required. Do you want me to give that to you for readers to check out if they like it?
I would absolutely love to see it. And if you're quite prepared for me to throw that up as a resource on this interview, I will absolutely put it up, because I think that's a really important one. I love that answer, is go talk to your customers. How else are you going to know if you don't ask?
Yeah, so that's actually a good question. I'm glad you asked that. It's funny, before this call you said, well, we might go way off topic. I feel like we are, but that's think of the insights you can get on how to determine what you should talk about and what content you should create in 2 ways. So you have qualitative feedback. This is things that aren't statistical, like there's 100 searches per month for this keyword, but it's, the soft things. That's, if you want qualitative information, you should really interview your customers and talk to them and ask them, hey, what are your problems? What do you value in our solution? Why did you choose us? Why didn't you choose someone else? What didn't you like about your competitors? What was the outcome? How do you feel about the outcome? What did that allow in your lives and your business, etc., right? But then there's also quantitative data that you can use. Typically, marketers and people are really good at finding this, but you can look at, now that you know your customers' problems, what keywords are they searching into Google to find it? Who's publishing on YouTube or Reddit or TikTok or wherever your audience hangs out? What kind of content's trending? There's a lot of tools you can use. There's tools like, I love Uber Suggest by Neil Patel. That's really good. And Answer the Public's really good. It'll show you all the questions people are asking in your industry. But if you're thinking about where you should get content ideas from and how you should understand your customers, keep in mind that I would always say talk to your customers first. But if you want more hard data on it, and that's important to you, you can use a lot of different tools online to see actually what people are searching and what's trending and what they do like.
Okay, so that's a great foundation for what we're going to actually talk about today. And so you can do content marketing any way you want, and you can do it to your heart's content, but you do need to know who you're speaking to when you're doing your content marketing. So, and that's something that I can help you out with. It's something I'm sure that Callum can help you out with, and I'm sure we've got contacts between us all as to who can help you do that. But once you've got that picture, Callum, I know one of the topics you talk about is the difference between evergreen content and topical content. So can we just talk about when you're setting up let's talk specifically about if you're going to set up your website and you're going to do your lead capture so that you can get them in, so that when they visit the site, first of all, they go, yeah, I'm not ready to buy, but this looks really interesting. I want to know more about it. The evergreen content, how does that help with all of this process?
Yeah, so I think talking about the lead capture and talking about evergreen are very related, but they're 2 separate topics. As far as evergreen content goes, there's a few different ways of looking at it. But in a nutshell, if you're going to put the effort into creating a piece of content, you don't want to have to repeat that effort tomorrow, just like you don't want to have the same conversation you had yesterday. And so evergreen content is making stuff that stands the test of time. If you put a post on Facebook talking about something interesting, chances are within 3 or 4 days, it's pretty much forgotten about. If you were to create a really top quality lead magnet on that topic, and you have it on your website, and everyone that visits your website gets it and signs up and gets value from it, well, not everyone, but a lot of people do, then that's immediately so much more evergreen than it was before, because that's, as long as you choose the right topic and you make it to a high standard, etc., it's going to be still relevant in the future. So one thing is the platform where you publish it, and the second thing is obviously the topic you're talking about. If I look at the industry I'm in, content marketing, I could talk about the top AI apps of Q1 2024, and by Q2 it's out of date, or by the time the next big AI app comes out, it's out of date. On the other hand, I've got a blog called the Marketing Jargon Dictionary, saying there's too much jargon in this industry. Here's 100 different terms and what they mean in simple English. That's still going to be relevant in 10 years. I might need to update and change some things, and add and remove some other definitions, but it's still evergreen. So the other area, the first one is the platform. The second is the topic you choose, making sure that it still relates to that buying journey of your ideal customer. And then the third part of being evergreen, I guess, is how well you execute. Like, you can have the best content idea in the world, and if you just write some typo-ridden, low-quality stuff, it's not going to be that useful, and it's not going to look good on your brand. But if you really invest in making the content great the first time you make it, that's going to last for a lot longer. It's going to perform better on search engines. It's going to convert customers better as long as you choose the right topic and have all the best practices in place. It's going to be performing better with ads. You're going to have lower costs for signups if it's a lead magnet or etc. There's all these benefits of doing it right the first time around. When you repurpose it, you can use it well. But if you don't do it right the first time around, it's really hard to expect a little bit evergreen if it's a low quality piece. So yeah, if you're thinking about evergreen, just think about those three things. Do you want me to touch on the lead capture, or what do you think? Do you have some thoughts on that?
Well, let's just, because you mentioned a couple of things in there about your content creation and content management. You mentioned it performs better in an SEO, and if you make it quality, then people are interested in it. I see them as actually really, really related, because I say to people, look, if you want your website to rank well on the search engines, you need to have fresh content on your website. Not only does it have to be topical, it has to be fresh. And if you get that right, then people are going to put in the problem that they're looking for. They're not going to look for the solution. They're going to look for the problem. Like, how do I fix this error on my website? That's normally the biggest one I get, is I get this error on my website. How do I fix it? And if your website starts to show up regularly for the questions, people are going to be more interested in coming to seeing your site. Now, sorry, I'm just trying to pull it all together here, because there's so many things. Like you said, it's a really wide topic. So it's really, really important that you understand that there is a connection between your SEO and your content that you're on the site. They're not divorced. They actually work together, which is something I get from people. I just want to do SEO. Well, you can't do SEO without doing decent content creation and content management, content marketing. So yeah, let's talk about, why don't you touch a little bit on the opt-in, and then I think we should go and talk about the types of evergreen content that you can have on your site, that once people sort of come through from there, and what do we do? How do we do it?
Yeah, for sure. Sounds great. So the opt-in, I had this idea of what to talk about, and then I'm going to be honest, I read this newsletter from one of my coaches just 2 days ago, and after being in this industry for 6 years, I kind of have a slightly different approach on it. So do you mind if I share this revelation that's come out?
Go for it. Absolutely. I think it's fantastic.
Just to credit the coach, because I think it's always important to acknowledge your sources. This is Peaceful Profits, and Mike Shreve is the owner. And so that's where this knowledge came from. Nothing in it for me to say that. I just want to say that out of transparency. So what he was talking about is how, if you have let's say a farm, you're growing apples or grapes, you have 2 stages before it goes from the tree to the consumer. And that is, first you've got to harvest all the produce, and you've got to sort it into good first grade, second grade, stuff that you're going to throw out or feed and slot, etc. And so it's the same with your marketing. If you try and harvest and sort at the same time, you're going to have problems. So the purpose of a lead magnet is to harvest as much of your audience of potential customers as possible. So you typically say, here is a resource that's more valuable than you'd find in, say, a blog or something that's just in a social post or on the internet. It's something that really solves your problem. And then it's so compelling that you'd be happy to pay money to take it, but instead it's free. So it's like, this is the way I look at it anyways. It's just a no-brainer to give. I only have to give my email for this. Like if I said, if you give me your email, I'll send you 10 gold bars, I'd probably give you my email. Same thing, right? Maybe don't send 10 gold bars to everyone gives the email. But so that's, I guess, a way of looking at it, is that before you sort which client you actually want to take on and sell to and serve, you've got to actually get them into your email system so that you can market to them ongoing without paying for every single ad, and that you can build trust with them, because we spend so much time in our inboxes every day. If you regularly see someone in your inbox, you're going to build a lot more trust than if you just see Facebook ads or something like that, where it's more interrupting. People choose to open your emails and they choose to unsubscribe if they want. So I guess that's the role of a lead magnet in many ways. There's a lot of tactics about how you can actually execute on lead magnets, but at its very core function, it is just to take the fish that are in the ocean, or however, whatever metaphor you want to use, and capture things that could be worth refining down to who you want to reach.
Awesome. I love that. Then that's entirely correct. I mean, people come to your website, they're not ready to buy yet. There is a lot of competition to get your email address into email lists. And I know myself, and I'm sure you do the same thing. You go to a website that says, just get on our mailing list and keep in touch. You're like, no, no. But if you can offer something that is of value to, because that email address is of value to you, your people know that that's of value to you. So give them value back for it. And that's exactly what you were saying there. But so once you've got all that going, and like even if you're just doing drip feed marketing to your email list and you want to get people back to your website, that's where your content really becomes important, doesn't it? Because they're not just going to go and look at one thing. Well, often they'll just go look at one thing, but sometimes when they go and look at one thing, you might have something else pop up and they go, oh, that looks interesting. What's that about? And they'll start to troll through your website. And that's where your content becomes really important.
And I think we're just circling back to the first thing we said in this conversation, that various statistics say that it's 1 to 3% of your audience is ready to buy. Not everyone is in the same place. I've talked to people that have never had stuff to do with content marketing before, and I've seen a lot of the outside views on the industry. And a lot of it is, hey, we're going to, and it comes from content marketers as well, which is you need to be aware of your problem and read our blog at the top of your funnel, and then you need to opt into the lead magnet, then you need to open 5 or 7 emails, and then you need to click on and watch a case study, and then you can fill out our contact form and book our calendar link, but that's not how it works in practice. Some people will hear about you once and say, I've got a really burning problem, this is really painful, I need to fix it, and they'll pick up the phone and call you, and you'll say, I want to work with you, and you're a customer. Others will take forever lurking you, and you don't even know that they're one of your followers. And then one day they might come up and say, hey, I've been loving your content, I've been following you for months or years, and I really have this problem and I need help with it. And so in many ways, when you're sending these nurture emails and you're helping people, you're touching on different stages of that buying process so that you can, again, sort people into where they're at and catch some of those people that are ready to buy. Little example, that coaching business I was talking about that I get coached by, I was on their mailing list for over a year and getting really good content. Like I think I said when I first joined, I'd happily pay $50 a month just to get your emails, and like really, really good emails. But it still took me over a year to actually buy a premium product. And I've had lead magnets that I've opted into, and I get 5 emails a day for the next month, all saying buy our product and you're silly if you don't buy our service or our program, and you kind of leave with a sour taste in your mouth. So I think it's important to remember that content is a long game, and capturing them with a lead magnet, just because they're on your email list doesn't mean that they're dollars. Like, yeah, your email list might be like a digital ATM, but you've still got to nurture it. You've still got to tend to that field. And if you start, if you go to a party and you say to everyone, do you want to be my customer? you're not going to be welcome back to that party next time. And it's the same with someone's inbox. Like I'm constantly saying to clients, respect the inbox, please respect the inbox. Otherwise, you're just going to annoy everyone. So yeah, I guess when you're thinking about that drip content, yes, people can read what you offer, whether it's a blog or a podcast or a study, but it's really about just catering to each individual where they're at in a self-service way, that you don't have to make a brand new journey for every single potential customer, but you can kind of lay the pathway and let them go through it as they like.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about the evergreen content topics, formats, quantity, depth and quality. How do people get into, like, how do people do this? How do they decide what is evergreen? How do they get it onto their websites or into whatever processes they're using? And how do they use it?
Cool. That's a really good question. And there's no set one recipe to do this. There's a million and one ways that you can actually get to that outcome of having successful content. But typically what I like to say is look at, so I guess there's a top down and a bottom up approach. You can start with people that aren't aware they've got a problem you solve, or you can start with people that are already buying your solution. Typically I'll say start with that bottom up approach. Start with, okay, well, what are our services pages and our about us page and our homepage actually saying? Like, are they compelling to people that are ready to buy or thinking about it? Does it, clearly articulate what we offer? Does it, all these questions that we go through to make sure that when someone's ready to buy and they land on your website, they're actually going to be likely to convert into customers or into leads. That's the first thing. Once you've got that in place, the next thing is, well, how do we capture people and put them into our email marketing system so that we can nurture them and drip feed them? So that starts with making a really good quality lead magnet that is a no-brainer for your ideal customers. It doesn't have to be a no-brainer for everyone, because that'd be almost impossible, but you know who your ideal customer is. If you don't, then figure that out first, but assuming you do, then make a lead magnet that's a real no-brainer to them. I used to work for a software company that automated your accounting, and ours was for online sellers, and it was an e-commerce bookkeeping checklist. And the idea was that these businesses that were growing to 7 figures and beyond had to set up their whole entire accounting department, and they didn't know how. So it was about a 50-page guide with checklists and templates and everything saying this is what you need to do. So obviously that's a no-brainer if you're selling online and your finances are a mess. And then when they get into that, it was like, hey, buy from us, our software will automate this and save you this time, money, etc. But I guess, so to come back to the point, first you want to make sure that your website and your actual things that people convert on are compelling. There's no red flags. Then you get a really compelling lead magnet, and then it's really just creating content and getting that content out there. So there's a lot of different types, but I tend to focus on blogs because they educate you well. You can edit them. Like, you can't really edit, as far as I'm aware, I don't think you can edit a YouTube video. Whereas, if you're getting started in content, if you publish a blog and it's not the best, just improve it. Case studies, they're really helpful, showing how you've helped customers and telling that story. And then the other area is earning other people's audiences. So getting onto guest blogs and publishing your blogs on other websites where your audience hangs out. Sharing those blogs or snippets or takeaways of that onto your social media if you've got a following there. Appearing on people's podcasts like we're doing today. Yeah, lots of different ways, but essentially you want to make sure that your net is actually going to harvest the fish. It's got the right, size holes to catch that fish. And then you just want to get it out there and do what a fisherman does, right?
What is it a fisherman does?
Catch fish.
Sorry. I'm a troll.
Yeah, sorry, I'm speaking too many metaphors, so if I've confused you, I apologise.
No, you're fine. I am a troll. I do that occasionally to people just to... Okay, so okay, so you talked about doing blogs. So by that you mean written articles that appear on your website. I'm actually going to add to that if you wanted to do video and you wanted to do audio as part of that, you absolutely can. They don't need to go up onto YouTube. You absolutely cannot edit a video on YouTube. You'd have to take it down and republish it, which is a pain in the neck. I can speak from experience, but you can absolutely do the sorts of things that we're doing here. and have that stored off on a video storage platform that you just link to and have it showing. And then when you want to update it, you just update the video and replace it. But
Yeah.
absolutely, written content is I think it's the way to go. It tends to be easier. I know a lot of people like to just talk at cameras, but not everyone has time to sit and watch a video. And you can read. I don't even remember what the statistic is, but you can read so much faster than you can watch a video. Like a video that goes for an hour, you could probably read the article in 10 minutes, 5
For
minutes.
sure. And people are skim readers. Like, this is another thing I'm hammering to people I coach is, don't just write a whole block of text. Like, make sure that your titles describe what's in the copy. Add quotes, add bullet points, make infographics, GIFs, memes, embed videos from other people or from your YouTube channel or your podcast. Use different maybe not fonts, but, make things that matter in bold so that someone that's got the attention span of a goldfish can come and find exactly what they need. And if they don't, they know it. Let's say there's a blog that's 1,000 words long and the most important points are 500 to 700 words. We'll put in the introduction. We're going to share the whole context, but if you want to jump straight to the juice, just click here. Like, I absolutely hate it when you go onto a recipe website and you have to scroll for like 10 minutes to get to the recipe. It's like, can we have a jump link in the intro, please? So it comes back to like, how are we actually serving the customers? It doesn't, I think one thing I've seen when people haven't started content marketing and they're thinking about it is there's so much in the how. How do we instrument it? Do I use HubSpot or ConvertKit or MailChimp? Do I do blogs or podcasts or YouTube videos? Do I hang out on, this platform or that platform? Do I answer questions on Quora or Reddit, etc.? But the real thing is just, who's the human and how can you help that human? And obviously you want to make sure that your human is actually showing up and that's the right human you want to reach. But don't get too hung up on if it's a blog or a podcast or a video. Like, there's benefits and downsides to all of them. But just, are you providing genuine help that solves their problem and their journey to buy from you? And if you're selling, let's say, luxury car grooming services, don't write about grooming your dog, because that's not the same person you're trying to buy. Like, make sure that it's relevant to the actual journey with you. Otherwise, it's just a bit random and loses people.
Yeah, so look, you actually said a couple of things there, and one was people are skim readers. I actually use myself as as an example on this. Do not ever give me blocks of text and pages and pages and pages of text to read and expect me to come out with the same outcome that you guys have you've come out with. I actually, for me to be able to function, I need the executive summary at the top. I need you to tell me what are the actions I need to take today, what is important, what needs to be done, when does it need to be done by, and then in the rest of it, give me that detail so that if I want to know, I can go look at it. But I'm a very direct person. It's just the way my brain works. I know it's taken me years to work this out. And sorry, itchy neck. I'm not lying, really.
Thank you for mentioning that. Itchy neck part as well, but the whole give me the juice now. Like, thank you for saying that, because this is one of the pains of my reality. And no downs to anyone or no issues to anyone that doesn't get that, because if you're new to content, you maybe wouldn't think about that, even if that's the way that you consume content. But here's a few things that we do. We put key takeaways at the top of a blog. Here's 3 to 5 bullet points, or maybe a paragraph or two that summarizes exactly what you want to read. If you don't know what to write, just chuck your blog into ChatGPT and that'll give you a good draft and you can tidy it up. Secondly, go to a website called niram.org/read, niram.org/read. Paste your content in there.
Say that again.
niram.org/read.
Thank you.
/read. It's called the Readometer, and you paste your blog or whatever piece of content you've got in there, and it'll tell you the estimated reading time, and then put that at the top of your blog, and then someone can decide if they want to give 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or if this is something they can schedule for later, or if actually they can't be bothered reading it at all. Hook the reader in the intro. Don't just start talking about whatever you're talking about. Like, you know, it's always like the feedback. I've coached a number of writers, and the feedback always comes back to who's the reader and how do you respect their time, how do you respect their need for answers, and how do you give them something that they'd happily pay for but you get for free, because that's what builds trust. And no matter what fancy tactic of the day you use, coming back to what you said at the start, you know, trust. I can't remember all of it, but
No,
the main one was
like,
trust.
and trust.
Yeah,
No, like, and trust.
This is how you do it. This is how you make them trust you, is they respect their time and just help them. Like, don't give them lots of text. Just get straight into like what is going to help. Put jump links in your table of contents so they can jump to where they want to go. Like, yeah.
There's going to be people out there that want all the detail. They want all the case studies. They want all the statistics. I look at numbers on a page and I go, I don't care. I really don't care. I'm going to, yeah, oh, look, that says 90%. And then someone says, yeah, but that was 90% in the negative. I'm like, oh, was it? I don't care that much. So, and I'm going to just come back to something that I learned from being an instructor and learning instruction techniques. When you're writing out your course notes and when you're doing like your training, you tell people what you're going to tell them. You tell them, you get them to do it. You correct and you correct it and revise, and then you tell them what you told them. And I write content in a very, very similar way. Today we're going to discuss this. Here's what we're going to learn. Here's all the detail on it, and this is what we just did. This is what you just read. So I may actually copy some of that down and redo it. I really like your idea, though, of ChatGPT to give you your first draft and tidy it up. And I'm going to actually hit on that really hard because AI is absolutely topical at the moment. Like everything in my inbox is use AI to do all this. And, you know, I'm still not settled on AI, but I really love the idea of let it do your first draft for you. If you want to just talk a little bit about that, because you actually mentioned a few things before we started this conversation about how you use AI as well.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I have a pretty unconventional view on AI, slightly different in a content space than the typical let AI do your first draft, let it create it. And the view that I'm about to share might be wrong. I might be proven wrong and outdated in the next months or years, because that's just the nature of how this all evolves. But I've noticed, you know, when I started in this industry, there was people creating good content, and there's content that I've published 5 years ago that still performs. And then there were people that were doing cheap content saying you need 100 blogs a week and we can do it for 2 cents a word. And it was just garbage. And it didn't respect the reader's time. And to me, this AI, at least in the content space, this AI evolution is the same thing. In many ways, obviously a lot more advanced, but you know, the same people that were saying, oh yep, just pump out a whole load of cheap content, outsource it to people that are learning English and just do it. It's the same thing with AI. Like, what's your reader? What matters to your reader? AI can put out really good content, but you've got to know where it fits into your workflow. For me, I like to start off with the right plan, the right brief, and get a really good skeleton. So I don't jump into writing. I'll start with research. That might be looking at what other blogs are online and what's performing, YouTube videos, interviewing customers or industry experts, etc. From that research, I will distill that, or one of my writers will distill that, or one of the people I'm working with will distill that, and then we will turn that into a skeleton. So if you imagine, here's the intro, here's the topics we're covering, here's the main title, here's the subtitles, here's what's under each subtitle, here's where it's going to link, here's the buttons it's going to go to, like, you know, a whole entire blueprint of the blog. And then we improve that 2, 3, 4, 5 times. By the time that you're actually going to write it, you're just formatting and changing a few words here and there. So that was before AI, how we did it, and that produced really good quality work. I'm a bit hesitant to say to AI, I want a 500 word blog topic on this topic, go write it, because I'm not giving it that much context. But when I give it, at least even a less detailed skeleton, it does a pretty good job. How I tend to use ChatGPT and other AI tools with content is I take this approach where it can be the intern or the mentor. And that is, help me with research. Give me information on this. Show me your sources, so that instead of spending hours researching, I can spend 20 or 30 minutes with ChatGPT. And then I've got my research ready. And the other way is as a mentor. I might say, I want to say this, but can I fact check it? Can you prove where the facts came from to verify if I'm right, or prove me wrong? Rather than going and looking through sources. Or I'll say, here, this bit of text, especially for website like sales copywriting, this is the page layout. Here is a section, and what I'm trying to achieve with this section is I'm trying to show how the service can help solve this problem. Currently, I've got this text. Here's the key points from what I'm trying to cover. Can you give me 10 different ways of saying this? And then I might go, I like numbers 2 and 3, but I don't like that. Can you give me 5 different ways refined in this way? And then from those 6 or 7 that I kind of like, I'll rewrite it based on that, so that I'm not sitting there trying to find the right words. So that's kind of how I approach AI. It'll probably be outdated within months or years anyway, because that's how it's evolving. But I have seen other methods that work really well. There's one in particular, Julia McCoy, Content at Scale, and they have a process. I think it's called the AIO method, where they basically generate the first draft, and then with the time saved, they spend editing, which I know they use quite well, but I can't really comment on how well that works, because I haven't really done much of that myself. So yeah, that's kind of how I use AI.
I think, though, what you're highlighting, and I know that I've got a couple of other podcasts where they talk about AI as well up. What you're really highlighting is that to use ChatGPT or any of those tools, you need to know what your prompts are. You need to know how to use your prompts. And there is still work required in using it. It's not going to take the work away from you. It will change the work around. It might make the work less. It certainly should make you more productive and better at what you do, but it's not going to stop the work happening. You're just going to have to get better at another thing to make it happen. And just don't expect to pull up the tool and go, oh, I've got this fantastic web copy now, because you're not going to get, trust me, you're not going to get it.
Yeah. Oh, and you can, I'm not sure about you, but I can see when something's written by AI, especially sales copy, and it's really, really obvious once you start noticing it. Yeah, I think the other thing, which in one of your previous episodes with, was it Frank?
It was Frank.
B2B
I think so. I
marketing
think it was
expert?
Frank.
And
Yep.
I was listening to that before, and one thing he brought up, which I really resonate with, is that you should have the importance of human input, lived experiences, human insights is so much more important, because AI can regurgitate anything for anyone, and any of your competitors or a new competitor popping up tomorrow can just use AI and pay an assistant to pump out a whole lot of generic stuff and copy pasta content, right? But if you show, I think he said, oh, look, here's how I use this CRM, here's what I find good about it, here's the tricks, here's what I struggle with, or here's a story of how I've actually experienced this topic related to your business in my life. Or there was a client that I work with, and it's quite a technical topic, and they have a technical expert in-house, so I just interview him on this technical topic, and then I just cherry pick his quotes, and at the intro I say, we're having an industry leading expert peppering quotes all through this blog, so that you can find out how the pros are doing it, kind of thing. A lot of ways you can approach that, but just like these faces, these humans that we've got, are becoming more and more important to reach humans in a world where, like, my AI talks to your AI. I just want to talk to you, and I just want to hear from you and your content.
Yeah, and I think I made the comment to you earlier too, when we were just sort of talking about who we are and what we do. People still want to be able to pick up the phone and make phone calls and speak to someone. They want to go. I mean, even an IVR these days, the internet. Interactive voice recorders, or whatever they are, the digital assistants. I hate them. I just want to pick up the phone and say, I have this problem. Can you just put me through to the person that can help me, please? Yeah. I don't want to press buttons on my phone and go, I know. I just hit now it's just, I hit the star button. I just keep hitting the star button. I am that person. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or you go through to the wrong department and you go, oh, I'm sorry, I must have gone to the wrong place. Can you just pass me on to them?
Yeah, sales.
Because that always gets a quick response, right?
Sales. Oh yeah, you tell sales that you've got a problem with your product that you bought from them and that you're going to actually go somewhere else. The salespeople are generally keen to get it resolved.
I love it.
Yeah, I am that person, guys. I really am. Okay, so look, you've shared a whole heap of information there. Before we get into like wrapping all of this up, why don't you tell us a bit about what you do and how you can work with people, how people can get in touch with you? I'd love to know more.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for asking. I provide content coaching. So when we were primarily running as a content marketing agency, we would get results, the scope would creep, and all of a sudden there'd be these giant contracts that were quite expensive for the client. And when you outsource to an agency, there's a lot of benefits. One of the downsides is that you don't learn how to do it, you just get it done. You don't build the skills and capabilities and systems in your business. So basically, the move to coaching and what I do now is I basically train you on how to build your content marketing program, how to build your team, how to get results, how to repeat those results into the future, and how to lead and grow it so that you can turn your website into a customer getting machine, and scale up your business predictably. That doesn't mean you have to do it all yourself. Our coaching program includes, like, if you want to outsource your writing or other help like online business management, we connect you with professionals and agencies and experts and freelancers and assistants that can help you. But we work with you to get to the outcome, which is that consistent source of online customers. So there's two ways we do it, but one way in particular I'd like to talk about, which is, there's two ways. One is one-on-one coaching and consulting, and the other one is our group coaching program. Our group program is called Evergreen Leads. Turn your website into a 24/7 customer getting machine. And it's a 6-month program. We have live group workshops. We have one-on-one chat coaching, training materials, templates, all that kind of stuff. And we guarantee that you get to the outcome if you put in the work. So yeah, that's what it is. If you want to find me, you can go to www.pasteandpublish.com and get in touch. There's more information there, or on LinkedIn, Callum Armstrong. I'm pretty active there. So yeah, however you like, and I'd love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Look, I'm going to put all of these links in the show notes, of course, and they'll be on my website on the blog that goes up around this. So you can find Callum afterwards. I'd recommend reaching out and having a chat to him, because content is key. Content is king. I mean, it still is, or queen, whichever way you want to go, guys. I don't care. You can come to me and say, I want a website, and I'm going to say to you, you need to have your content written, get yourself a copywriter. If you want an introduction to a copywriter, if you want a strategy around it, we can find people to help you do it. We can help you write a little. I don't, because it's so specific to you. You need to actually have your input into it. And if you can get someone like Callum to give you a hand, please do. Please do. It makes our lives so much easier, and we get such a great result out of it. Now, I'm just going to do a quick blurb here, and then I'll come back to us. So being a business owner can be tough. Being a business owner who works remotely can get lonely and frustrating. That's why I started my locals community, a community for business owners that could be a bit like the old water cooler in the office. You can treat my locals community as a place where you not only get to interact with me, but each other. You gain a little inspiration from others. You can provide inspiration, advice, and of course, as members of the community, you'll be able to ask questions of myself and try and tap into some of that weird knowledge that I have, that people will ask a question like, oh yes, this answer here. So come across and join me at askcharlyleetham.locals.com. I'd love to have you as part of the community. And back to us. Here we are. I've got to say, doing reads in your own stuff, I'm still not great with it, but there you go. Now, I wanted to hit one point. You mentioned going to niram.org/read and getting the read time for an article. I'm going to add to that. If you guys want to put that onto your website, I've got the code snippet that you can throw into your WordPress website that will actually look at the number of words in an article and estimate the read time that we've just automated for you. So if you want that sort of information, come have a chat to me. I can generally help out with that.
That's awesome. That's really easy. If you want to go really fancy, you can also get that loading bar that goes across the screen as you scroll.
You can actually, and they're not too bad. It's a similar sort of thing, but yeah. I do like though looking at the estimated read time, 5 minutes or 3 minutes, because it's like, yeah, I've got 5 minutes, I can do that.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so before we wrap up, what's the one thing that you'd really like people to take from our conversation today?
I think I'd ask, what are you doing for people that aren't your customers yet? And this takeaway is going to apply to some people, and other people think that's silly. Of course I do that. But are you educating your audience? Are you providing value? Are you solving their problems in advance? It's great that we can go and search all this stuff online on whatever platform and find answers to our problems. And that's because people have created content. Yeah, if you aren't currently educating your audience, you're currently relying on networking or referrals or things that don't create that lasting value, or when you go to meet someone, you're going straight in for the sales pitch. Consider creating some content. Consider really empathizing with their problems and just creating assets that you can build once and use many times, and that'll help your audience. It'll also help you, and if you do it right, it'll increase the value of your business and your income and profits as well. So I guess it is just get into content for the purpose of just helping and educating, and that outcome of that is that you have an audience that likes, trusts you, and wants to work with you, and will contact you when they're ready.
Oh, look, I love it, and I think that's entirely correct. And I'm just going to add to that the amount of times I've had someone say, "What's the answer to this?" and I go, "Here's the blog post that I've written on it. Please go read that. And if you've still got questions, there's the link to create an appointment to sit down with me and we'll go through it." It saves so much time, and they love it because they're like, "Wow, that was great. You really know your stuff, don't you?" Yeah, I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, like, it's not rocket science doing this, but there is some systems and structure and setup you need. You need to know your ideal customer and your assets and how you're going to talk to them, and you need to have your CRM system set up and your website set up and stuff. So, like, if you don't have those things in place, know that there is a bit of work to set it up, but that once your systems and your guidelines are set up, like it's pretty straightforward.
And you will never, honestly, you will never, ever regret doing it. Trust me. I've been through that journey in the last couple of years, just redoing all those systems. It's saving me so much time now, and it's just wonderful to know that I can get in my car and I can go traveling, and my VAs know where to find things, they know what to do, and people can just, I'm selling all the time. I literally am selling all the time, even when I'm not online.
It's awesome.
Look, thanks so much for being part of this, Callum. You've shared some great information. I will make sure all of our contact details are below so people can follow through. And until next time, guys, keep writing good content. I'll talk to you all later.